Good morning, Facebook. This is the start of Blabbing for Britain 178, episode 178. I'm hoping to be joined by John and possibly Stephen later. After last week's show, I headed up north to visit my mum in hospital, and that's my mum Joyce. And I arrived late at night and sat at the side of a hospital bed, and she left us at 7:30 in the morning. My mum was, well, obviously the best mum in the world, and had three children, myself, my brother Martin, and my sister Caroline, and she supported us throughout her life and always wanted the best for us and her 9 grandchildren as well, and her great-grandchildren. She was able to spend time with her grandchildren in retirement. She had a variety of jobs. She trained in Burnley at college and learned Pitman shorthand, and then went on to work for local firms like G-Plan and the people who make Victory V. And then in later life with my dad Bill, she started a fish stall in the local Arndale Centre market stall, and they just really enjoyed serving the public and chatting to people. And my mum then retired and died last Friday morning at the age of 90 in hospital. And we're going to miss her. She had a great sense of humour, always held an opinion which was hers and hers only. She always said what she thought, and she loved us to bits as we loved her. And she would want, I know, for everyone in the family to help and support each other, which is what we've been doing for the past week. And I feel that she's watching, and life does go on. And so if I do disappear from screen during the next hour, I hope you forgive me. But I think that she would want the show to go on. So let's bring Peter on.
Me? Hey, Pete, how do we get here? This is for Christ's sake, man. You live here. We don't, it's not.
Right. I've cut Peter's sound. Say good morning to John.
Hiya, you all right?
Yeah, I'm getting well. I'm still at 6s and 7s, but right. Peter, put your thumbs up if you're talking to us. Wait, what's he doing?
Dunno.
John.
Can't hear him.
Can now.
I know, it's a bit noisy, but I'm going to put in my earplugs.
Right, okay. Right.
So we're on our way to Dundee.
Uh-huh. And what's happening in Dundee?
Right.
Right, we'll just mute Peter for a moment. I'll just take some comments. And thank you for your comments. And Tisha said, I did not think you were going to broadcast. Well, I had a chat, strangely enough, with RJ last night, and that helped me make up my mind.
Otherwise, I might have been on my own.
Well, there is that. And Fonz is saying, my thoughts are with you and your family, mate. Thank you, Fonz. And thank you for your support over the last week. And to John and to Peter and to Stephen and to Tish and to Kelly. Hello, Kelly saying, sorry for your loss. And Kevin saying, are you okay, Stephen? Thank you for the question, Kevin. I'm getting to okay, but there are moments when you can't control your emotions and you just burst into tears. If one of those moments comes on during the show, then John will take over. And we can, Peter, we can hear you again now.
Can you hear me, John?
I can hear you.
Okay, that's fine. We're was just hoping you would reply to me. So we're off to Dundee. We left Aberdeen this morning, and we just went in by a McDonald's and had our coffee. Is it just me and you today? Are you speaking to me or what?
Hello? There's three
Hello?
of us in here, you know.
Just us two?
No, Stephen's here as well. Stephen with the
All right.
ring.
He's not coming in to me. It's just you, I see.
Well, he's here with his traditional green screen background.
All right,
Yeah,
I can't see him.
I am here, Peter. If you want to
okay, well,
refresh.
I'll tell you what, I'll just jump out because there's no point if I can't hear him.
Okay. Can you say okay, John?
Have a good show. See you later.
Okey-doke. See you then. Bye-bye.
Right.
So that's our mobile commentator gone.
It is, yeah, but he's on his way to Dundee. He didn't explain why, did he?
No.
No.
I'm not
Right,
even sure where Dundee is in relation to Aberdeen either.
It's got to be south.
Yeah.
That's the only thing we can be sure of, that Dundee is south. This is Blabbing for Britain, episode 178. And one of the things that we've had to do is to use the landline over the last week to make and take calls. And of course, not every call that you answer is going to be a legitimate call, which is why none of us use land we've got to. And we're just taken aback by the number of spam calls that come in. I mean, normally you just ignore that, don't answer the phone, that's it. But in a situation like we've had in the past week, you've got to answer the phone. And these calls are now automated, and they come in today, they're coming in every 30 minutes because you pick the phone up once or twice. Such is life. So that's my vent on spam calls.
I have two landlines.
Yeah.
One for the business, one for home. And they invariably ring the home one.
Yeah.
They get told to go away. And then they ring the office one. Because that's the order they are in the phone book.
Yeah, they just don't give up, do they? They're just, all right. So you've got to answer the phone, but after, well,
to be honest with you, you can do something about it if you've got a BT line, because they now provide a number that you can dial after the call, and that telephone number then goes on your block list and can't ring you again.
Yeah. Right. Well, okay. This is a talk, and it's a talk spam call saying that your talk line is about to be disconnected unless.
Yeah. Well, they keep ringing me on my Virgin line and tell me that my BT broadband is going to be disconnected. I haven't got BT broadband.
No, you haven't. You've got faster broadband.
I could have BT because the cabinet is right in front of my next door neighbour's wall. And we would get good performance because it's only feet that were being copper.
That's brilliant. Are you tempted?
No. Good performance from them is 60. Yeah, 60.
Right.
Okay. I'm on 250 something. So no, I'm not tempted.
And Kevin's saying he gets them on his mobile too. And Corinne had problems as well. And Fonz has just offered if we need help covering shows, then he's happy to do it. Well, if you want to share the load this morning, Fonz, you can come in and join us this morning. Link to join us, I'm just posting. Yeah, so that's caught up with that.
I don't think Kevin knows about your mum, I'm afraid.
Kevin.
Else he's asking what's up with you. Mr. Arrow.
Oh, right. Okay. Hello, Kevin. My mum died last Friday. She was 90, and 2 weeks before was looking good, but suddenly she fell, suffered a stroke, and also had sepsis. And I was sat at the bedside Thursday night, Friday morning, and she left us at 7:30 on Friday morning. I got the strength of my family around me because last year, this is the technology where technology helps. We set up a Facebook Messenger group with every conceivable family member in there. So we're all in touch with each other and supporting each other and keeping each other up to date. So thank you for asking, Kevin. And hopefully that clarifies things. And we're going on. Okay. No, you've every right to ask the question, Kevin. I didn't mention it at the top of the show. And it's one of these things. All right. Okay, we can change topic now because Corinda thinks we should. I think Facebook changed because when I see you on top, it says live, but the number's gone. Any thoughts, John?
Well, there must be something wrong with Corinda's Facebook because it's still showing the number of people on lives on mine.
Yeah. Okay, good. Right. Okay. Technology, but as I say, the
strange things always happen to Corinda, though. So what
this
more
is true.
can you say?
Yeah, yeah. The Messenger group has kept the family in touch, so shout out to Facebook for that. And right now, oh right, okay, yeah. Kevin saying we lost Sarah's nan Monday before last, which was like a mum, as they were there then as well. PM if you want to talk. Thank you, Kevin. I may well do that. And right, okay. Are you voting today, sir?
Me, yeah, I'm voting Liberal Democrat.
I'm voting Liberal Democrat too. And I think quite a bit of the country will be voting Liberal Democrat.
I think there's going to be a really good turnout for the Lib Dems and the Greens, because that's the only real way of voting Remain.
It is. And it's a clear choice. I mean, what I can't understand is the Brexit Party has come from nowhere, which means they've been organising it for yonks. And they're going to get half the vote. And they don't have a party. All they have is 73 people who are standing for election.
Yeah.
We've got a crazy system.
Are they actually, in fact, 73 independents because they don't have a party?
I've got a feeling that the Brexit Party has been registered for quite a while and nobody's been speaking about it. But it just seems strange that 73 people can actually come from nowhere and half the country vote for them. And to go from the sublime to ridiculous, talking of, we take our voting seriously, obviously, and the vote today is to actually elect 73 members of the European Parliament. And we'll come back to a Europe story in a moment, but I just want to stay with voting. Did you, I know the answer to this before I ask, but did you watch Eurovision?
Why? We knew we'd come last before anything happened. And now I understand we're being robbed of points for even when we came last.
Indeed. There are two parts to the vote, and the popular vote was miscounted, and we were allocated 5 points, 5 points, and they've nicked them off us. We've lost them, so we're now only on 11 points. I mean, this is a situation. I mean, the song itself was good. He could sing. The coming last was just a travesty of justice, really. It really was. Anyway, just a shout out to Mr. Adrian Higgs, who organises the Eurovision Snarkfest every year, where we all comment on every single artist who appears on the screen. That was, well, a great distraction last Saturday night. So shout out to Adrian.
It's Mr. Higgs and mine 8th Facebook birthday today.
Oh, well, that's spooky.
Yeah.
You've known each other a lot longer, though.
Oh yes, yes, but on Facebook we've known each other 8 years today.
And Kevin's saying Eurovision is rigged.
Of course it is.
Yeah, yeah. People will never vote for us ever again. Yeah. Well, apart from the days of Cliff Richard, Sandy Shaw, and who's the Katrina and the Waves? Yeah.
It's of no interest to me whatsoever, so I have no idea who you're talking about. And
another shout out for Adrian. Well, Katrina and the Waves actually won Eurovision for us. They're not strictly speaking British, but they did win the competition. So it's a long while since we actually our songs got taken seriously. It's all political. With Bosnia voting for Serbia and Serbia voting for Bosnia and that sort of thing, and nobody voting for Britain. Right, which brings it.
Anything else?
Sorry?
Do you expect anything else? You know.
Well, no, I think that
we're running away from Europe, so who's going to vote for us?
Talking of running away, Theresa May's not running away, is she? They can't. Our Prime Minister, Theresa May, normally gets up in Parliament to a full house of 600 MPs. And yesterday, when she was back to make a statement about the WOB, is it WOB? So, I don't know. The bill for actually leaving the EU, 500 of the 600 MPs legged it, and she was left virtually talking to herself. She's in a situation where nobody loves her.
And Ledson's gone today as well, hasn't she?
Yeah, yeah. The leader of the House has resigned, saying there's no way that Brexit can be pushed through the way that Theresa May is trying to do it. And Kev, what are your thoughts? Should Theresa,
an Essex man,
should Theresa stay or go? The odds are, I mean, they can't do anything today because today's an election. That would be bad form, even in the UK. So she's meeting the chairman of the 1922 committee tomorrow, which is basically the mechanism whereby MPs can tell the Prime Minister to go or be pushed. She's on borrowed time, really. Well, there's a problem here. As somebody once said a couple of months ago, if Mrs. May leaves, the arithmetic for Brexit remains the same. It doesn't change it. Yeah, and we could well end up with, and I'm not going to be the first to say this, Boris Johnson as Prime Minister.
I don't know about Bojo. Did a good job as London Mayor, didn't they?
It did, but seems to have gone right. Okay.
Even John Amy said he did a great job.
Right. Okay. We've got from Kevin. Theresa May has created a career. Oh, I can't read it. It keeps moving. Career suicide, but she will, as I said, I'll get along. Right, she's trying her best to get us to a position of revoking Article 50, and I would raise my glass to that. John, would you raise your glass?
I'd be very happy if Article 50 was revoked. Some people have the theory that's what she planned all along.
Well, yes, there's that conspiracy theory. And Tish is saying more pressure to Theresa May. Wonder what the percentages of those that want her out. We've got to say it's majority, Tish, within her own party, and that's the rub. If the opposition parties want her out, doesn't matter. If your own party want you out, then you really have no option but to go. So we're in a muddle, which is nothing new. We have an election today which will decide nothing. We don't get to know the results till Sunday night because this is a European election. And Germany don't vote till Sunday, so that's the last of the 28 countries to vote. So we'll know our result on Sunday night. Okay, now let's just go with things not going totally according to plan, and like Eurovision, people being against us. Chagos Islands, the UN says that we should seize control of the islands.
I didn't know we had control of the islands, because I don't even know where the Chagos Islands are.
Have you heard of, I've got to check it now, something Diegos. It's an Air Force base jointly run by the...
Well, it's an American Air Force base, isn't it?
It's an American Air Force base.
In the Indian Ocean, isn't it?
Sorry?
Is it in the Indian Ocean?
It is, yeah. Yeah, we gave... Right, okay. Diego Garcias, that's it, yeah. Air Force base. There was 116 countries voted that we should actually give it back to, I think it's Madagascar. And 6 countries voted we should keep it, 2 of which were the UK and the US. But it is apparently a very important military base. But everybody around the world is voting against the UK at the moment. All right, okay, and Kevin's coming back, just going back to Mrs. May for a moment. Kevin says, I don't think it's a theory. She said it in 2016. She wanted us to stay, then get into power as PM, and has made it almost impossible for us to leave. She says leave because she has to, but her actions are leading us to stay. Corinda's saying never. I'm not sure to what, and Kevin's saying that there's no debate. Okay. Shall we go away from politics for a moment?
Isn't there anything nice to talk about? I'd like a nice topic.
It's a nice story.
Yeah.
Oh, good. Well, nice stories. You haven't got a Huawei phone, have you?
Of course I have.
You have a Huawei phone?
A P20 Pro. Yeah.
Very good. This is sort of the effect of the trade war between China and the USA, and we're all going to feel the backlog. We're all going to feel it because Google announced the other day that they can no longer provide Huawei with up-to-date versions of their Android operating system. Over to you, John.
Am I bothered? Doesn't affect existing handsets.
Doesn't affect your Gmail account?
No, it doesn't affect existing handsets. It affects future products.
Right. So
they're already contracted to supply it for the existing, and they could be sued to the end of the world. So the ban, if you start looking at it, is for future products. The only effect it may have on us is that we won't get to advance notice of updates. We'll get to see it. Huawei will get to see the updates the same day that the rest of the world gets the updates. It won't get the fortnightly advance that it normally gets.
Right.
But the truth is, as long as my phone takes pictures and I can answer calls, am I really bothered if I get an update or I don't get an update to Android?
Right, and Kelly's saying his daughter has just bought a 30 Pro, and mainly for the quality of the camera.
I am jealous because my P20 Pro is brilliant.
Right.
The big difference between the P20 and the P30 is 10 times zoom, optical zoom, instead of 5 times optical zoom on mine.
Yeah.
But the quality of the output is just stunning. And yeah, it's a Samsung that might do it, but the Samsungs aren't selling very well these days either. Maybe they will now that Huawei have got problems.
All right. Okay.
This could all resolve itself overnight if China and the US come to an agreement, and then it would all be back to normal.
It's true, but in the meantime, ARM, which is a British company, which we're very proud of, told staff that they are suspending business.
Again, I feel that Huawei should take them to court. They've got a contract. You can't stop your contract just because some bloke down the road says, I don't want you to deal with them.
The bloke down the road is the President of the United States.
I don't care. We have law in England, and he shouldn't be affecting our law. One of our UK-based companies has a contract to supply. They should not terminate that contract to supply just because some orange monster says so.
Right, okay. Catching up with the comments. Tish is saying, this is the compliment of the day. Isn't that something? I did not know that Kelly had kids. He looks so young.
Yeah, and then he admits that he's got a 32-year-old daughter.
You're wearing well. You're wearing well. And Kevin's saying, here's a news headline for you. Duchess of Cambridge always keeps a lunchbox in her car, and it's not for the kids. Right. There you go. We asked for good news, and that's good news.
Excited. Yeah. She's so bloody thin, she needs to eat the contents of the blooming lunchbox, not just carry it in the car. It looks like a stick insect.
You're talking about our royal family.
Oh,
so far, you've dissed the President of the United States, you've dissed the royal family. Who's next?
I haven't dissed her. I've just said she needs to eat more. So that's 3 of us who have 32-year-olds, because I've got a 32-year-old son as well. Tish is saying that her lad's 32.
Right. There we are. Okay.
Who else? Come on then. Who else would you like me to diss? You know.
British Steel.
I'm really sad about that. But it's a bit like the £1 fish, isn't it? It was a £1 company.
It was bought for £1, wasn't it, 3 years ago, 2016. And in the first year, it made £47 million profit. Then it started to go downhill. Now, the company is strategically important, isn't it, John?
Well, it's strategically important to one town in the north of England, if nothing else.
Well,
but of course, we've killed it with Brexit and all the bloody uncertainty because it stopped getting European orders for steel.
Right, and I can't let this one go. We'll come back to steel in a minute, but Kevin reckons you making a takeover bid for Grumpy Cat.
Well, just because that stupid cat dead doesn't mean I want its place. I only broadcast 1 hour a week. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. Sorry. Just British Steel.
It is sad though for the northeast, isn't it? That if British Steel does totally collapse.
What I was impressed by, I actually watched the minister who's responsible for looking after this area of industry, and he was questioned in the House yesterday by 20 different MPs representing different areas where steel is important. And every one of them said he had done an amazing job. They didn't say, you've done this wrong. They said, you've done as much as anybody could. Thank you. And the sticking point at the moment is obviously British Steel would like to have some money. The government have lent them money, but can't lend them any more because there is no security to back up the loan. And that, unfortunately, is an EU rule. So the government could give them 100 million tomorrow if it wasn't for an EU rule saying there's got to be security behind the loan.
Well, given them 100 million to pay the European Union's climate levy.
Yes, I know. It's convoluted, isn't it? It's convoluted. We can only hope that British Steel is in fact purchased and that goes on to good things.
Well, the thing is, the only likely people to buy it is the people who sold it, which is Tata Steel.
Yeah, or the Chinese.
But are we going to let them take control of that? Come on, have we got to go into orange monster mode and say we do not want the Chinese here? Yeah.
We've already got the Chinese here, and the French and the Germans and the Italians. We've got every country in the world investing in the UK. Right, back to the comments for a moment. Okay, everybody's son's turning 32. Point made, says Kevin. And compliment for you, John. After the Grumpy Cat remark, it's only fair to be even-handed. Tish loves your sense of humour and loves B4B. Okay. Now, we have an election today, and but the election, the biggest election in the world, they're actually counting the votes now in India. And
it take 4 weeks for them to all vote?
It does. The polling system goes through the different states in India, and it takes 4 weeks for them to vote because there are 600. I'm going to drop you down while you're eating breakfast. 600 million.
I just had a drink.
600 million votes to be counted, which is quite an achievement, even if it's partially electronic and partly not. I wouldn't like the task of actually masterminding that. And they do say that the existing Prime Minister, Mr. Modi, will actually be re-elected. Okay, despite everything that's going on in India. Right, okay, I want to take you back a few years, John. Okay, just a few years. And you've got to sort out a school for your kids. They've just turned 11. Do you actually send them to the nearest school, or do you send them to the best school?
Well, in my case, my children went to the nearest primary and they went to the nearest secondary school. But both of them were good schools.
That's fortunate.
Is it fortunate, or is it planning that we lived in the area?
All right, there could be that as well.
No, it's not.
That still happens.
When we bought this house, children weren't even thought of, you know.
Yeah. Researchers have found that most parents nowadays do not send their children to the nearest school, but they send them to the one giving the best tuition. So there you are. So pupils and parents travel without needing to. I just thought I'd put that up there.
We see this a lot, people wanting to send their children. I mean, when I went to school, it was based on where you went was based on what you did in the 11 plus. Yeah. And of course we got rid of that, didn't we?
We did. That was,
and I think that was a big mistake personally.
We got rid of that. We've got SATs in its place now. Right. Okay. Now it's not on the agenda, but we can discuss it anyway. Did you watch a football match last weekend? You didn't? No?
What would I want to watch football? I
FA Cup final.
Watch the highlights. Yeah, well, after I was down the allotments, and after Mick turned up and said it was a whitewash 6-0, I thought I won't even bother watching, you know.
Oh, the goals were good.
One-sided.
The goals were good. And Kevin is saying still exists. 11 plus still 11 plus still exists in down in the south. Okay. Right. Okay. So we don't know. It's obviously down to the individual education authority to determine whether the 11 plus is still there. But ours disappeared ages ago.
Years ago. Yes. Yeah. So why would I want to watch Man City or Watford? I have zero connection to either of those towns. And why would I want to watch a one-sided match? Which it clearly was at 6-0.
Just the sheer quality of Man City to win the treble.
Troy Deeney loses temper and gets sent off, or just loses temper even.
I enjoyed watching it, and yes, it was one-sided. It wasn't competitive, but it was entertaining. With 6 goals, it's got to be entertaining. And Trish has made the point. Oh, just going back to education. Kevin's saying it exists everywhere, but you've got to apply to take it. Okay.
But it doesn't do anything with the local authority and which school you send.
Right.
11 plus is necessary if you want to go to a private school here, but it's not generally taken or even talked about unless you got money.
Yeah. Right, okay. And Tish is saying it seems though sport is a touchy subject. No, it's not a touchy subject. Our co-host, Peter, just isn't bothered about sport. It just doesn't care, apart from cycling, which is a sport, of course. And Stephen, it lives in Stoke. It's debatable. They've got a football team of sorts. Right, we might be a bit tribal by supporting teams locally. I mean, I support Burnley and live in Wiltshire, so that might not make sense to everybody. Okay, might not make sense to everybody, but you stay with. You have a team, you stay with the team. I mean, come on, Roger Vanstone's still staying with West Brom.
Well, you know, there's nothing wrong with that.
Right.
We have the big meet next Monday, don't we?
Uh-huh.
Villa versus West Brom, isn't it, next Monday? Or was that
right, the playoffs.
The playoffs are next. I can see I've not really paid any attention to those.
Right, okay. Right, and Karen's confirming there are public schools around the country that still require an 11 plus pass to gain entry. Okay. And Tish is smiling, which is good. Okay.
So, is Kelly still here? Is he an ice hockey fan?
I think so. I don't know whether he's here, but I know he's they're heavy into sports.
So
in
I had
Canada.
a meeting this afternoon at 2:00.
Yeah.
Yeah, scheduled from 2 till 5. There was a group of us going to meet together and put some ideas together. And then yesterday, I got a message saying, can we bring the meeting forward 1 hour? Why? Well, the lady who's hosting us, she's Finnish, and Finland are playing ice hockey, and it's on the telly this afternoon. So she wanted to bring it forward so she didn't miss the ice hockey match kick off at 5.
She could have brought a portable along, switched it to silent, and no, she couldn't. She's been honest.
I think there's a big telly on the wall in her office, actually, where we're going.
Right, and Kevin's saying there are 134 grammar schools in the UK. 164, sorry, Kevin.
Yeah, well, there are none in Solihull.
No, I was just.
The grammar schools in Birmingham are fee admission.
Right, and an answer to your question, John, Kelly, is yes. NHL and World Hockey, Scene GB had a team this year.
Yeah.
Yes, we've got a hockey team. Yep.
My brother sponsors Coventry Blaze, which is our local. Well, we have a Solihull ice hockey team, but they're way down the leagues.
All right. Okay. Okay. Well, it's not. It's a sport I've seen on the television, but I never actually watched it live. Yeah. Okay. Right.
Next topic, sir.
Sorry.
Next topic.
I'm searching for one, John. You said you wanted good news topics, and in getting good news topics at the moment is not easy. I mean, the thing is that good news doesn't sell newspapers. Good news doesn't promote websites. And if you start a good newspaper, now we've got friends who've tried that. There was a local paper which started, and it just had good news in it. It didn't last for long. We thrive on when things go totally wrong or slightly wrong. So it's very difficult to find a good news story. Talk about HS2, but that's not a good news. That will be a good news story, but it's not a good news. Right, okay.
Is HS2 good news? We have lots of protests going on around here about HS2. They're going to build this massive station in Solihull.
Right.
Near the NEC. We can't understand why they just don't move the line a bit and use the same station that the NEC already has.
That would be too easy, John. There must be logistical reasons. There must be somebody somewhere.
The plan is to create a new railway station and build a village around it. On Greenbelt.
That's good.
On Greenbelt. And yet again shrink the small gap between Solihull and Coventry. Known as the Meriden gap.
Getting closer together. You don't want to merge with Coventry, do you?
There are a lot of things that are Solihull and Coventry oriented because we become a more senior partner with Coventry, whereas if we get wrapped in with Birmingham, we're just a little bunch of nobodies. So lots of things actually are Coventry oriented. There's the sporting associations, where the government pumps money in. That is Coventry and Solihull rather than because Birmingham is so big, you just get swallowed. Whereas Coventry ain't that big, much bigger than Solihull these days.
Right, and just going back to the hockey, Kevin saying in the World Championships, we beat the French and we beat the French 4-3. There we are.
Well, this lady's Finnish and it's the Finnish team she wants to watch.
Right, and Tish is asking after Angelica. Angelica is fine. And yes, Angelica is good. Thank you for asking, Tish. There we have it.
So where's PH Stephen today?
I don't know. Got a message from him about 10 minutes before saying he was stuck in traffic. All right, and Kelly's remarking about speak of the Stevens. Just a moment. Kelly's saying Sir Elton John biopic Rocket Man movie. Anyone seen it? I haven't. And at that point, we say welcome to
the critics.
Stephen.
All say it fails to take off. So be interesting to see.
Well,
Good morning.
I would love to go and see it. And I'm going to share my age here. We went to see him at Preston Guildhall live when he released his first, LP in those days. So I followed his career for a long time. And he's just a British institution, isn't he, Stephen?
He is indeed. I've seen him a couple of times at Birmingham and Manchester. It's an amazing performance. And when you think that a few months ago, we had the Freddie Mercury biopic. Yeah. And it took me back to when I saw him in 1978 in Stafford Bingley Hall. Hi, Tish. Stafford Bingley Hall, a cowshed in Stafford. But
I remember Stafford Bingley Hall.
But it was just
gardening shows there.
Is what, sorry?
Used to go to gardening events there.
Yeah, well, I think
it was more suited to that than to rock events.
Yes, yeah. I remember coming out of after the gig and walking along the back, and it was all obviously it was all dark and horrible. And I kept on hearing people going, "Ow!" I thought, oh, that's a bit weird. And then I found out why they were going, "Ow!" because they fell down the same open manhole cover. So I've still got scars on my legs to this day. But it was the gig, and friends of mine are sort of so jealous that my younger friends so jealous of. I actually saw Queen live a couple of times, but I don't have the same sort of gotta go see the Elton John film.
Isn't it the same bloke in both?
No.
Same actor.
No, It was Rami Malek for Freddie Mercury.
Wasn't it? I thought it was the same bloke.
No.
Oh, was it the same producer then? I know there's some tie-up between the two of them.
Maybe so. I don't know. But it just while we're on the cinema and music, shall we say? I think I don't know when it is. It's in a few weeks' time. But I'm taking my daughter to the Odeon because the last Take That concert of the current tour is being simulcasted across the country at cinemas. And I remember going to see Led Zeppelin and David Gilmour at the Odeon. And it's not like being there, of course, but it's a lovely experience. And I'm not the world's biggest Take That fan, but my daughter sure is. So that would be fun. Are you going to go see Elton John?
Me? No chance. I haven't been to the cinema for probably 30 plus years.
So you're not the core demographic then?
Definitely not. I will not be watching Rocket Man, that's for sure. Even if it came on the TV, I wouldn't be watching Rocket Man.
God, what are you like, John?
I'll be there.
I'll be there.
Front of the audience with his I Love Robbie Williams hat on.
I will be there. I mean, we're fortunate, and we're only a small town, Devizes, but we do have a thriving cinema. So I don't have to go out to one of the multiplexes. I can literally walk into town and go to the cinema and watch a film in luxury because it's just been refurbed.
We walked past it, didn't we, when I came down to you?
Sorry?
We walked past it when I came down to you.
We did. That was a beautiful sunny day, if I remember.
It was.
Yeah.
You're right.
Yeah. We've got the same again. We've got the same. We've got the same today. Yeah, it was good to meet.
Gorgeous here as well.
It's gorgeous here too.
Right. Yeah, but you have got the palm trees and the beach and the waves gently undulating onto the beach. Oh,
yeah, but the truth is, they're only in your imagination.
No, the seabirds aren't. We've actually heard seabirds.
Seagulls, yes, gulls.
Seabirds. They're everywhere. And we've still got the bloody crows in the soffits. Susan won't let me get rid of them, man. My pest controller mate, not Peter, but a friend of mine who does pest control around here. I said to him, "Can I get rid of the buggers?" And he said, No, you got to leave them in the nests until they go. Then you close the hole in your soffit. But anyway, how are we?
We're all right. It's the rest of them.
And Kelly's saying, no Chilean Netflix, John.
No chill and Netflix.
No chill and Netflix. Either work.
The answer is, my son's got a Netflix account, but I don't watch it. I've got a Prime account.
So have I.
I watched a few. What were they called?
Box sets.
James May and that. The other two idiots. The one from bloke from Solihull. If I watch anything, it's usually on BBC iPlayer. But the weather's been so good, I've been out in the garden or out at the allotment these days. Mm-hmm. Everyone's gone quiet.
No, listening to you.
Yep.
Finding out about the life of John.
Yeah, well, seeing as I've been compared with a cat today, what more can I say? A grumpy bloody cat at that.
Oh, I get that. Grumpy bugger.
Right. And Tish is saying, I don't watch Netflix anymore, and I haven't in quite a few years. Ever since they took off my favourite crime show, I don't watch Netflix anymore. And
you have to start watching Disney Channel soon, aren't you? Because they're taking everything off of Amazon and iTunes and Netflix and putting it all onto their soon-to-be launched channel.
Yeah. And Corinda is looking forward to the end of Ramadan. Then he can actually eat because he's hungry at the moment.
I thought you said Ramada. I thought
Ramada
it was
Hotel.
hotel.
It does say Ramanda, but I'm thinking he's talking about Ramadan because he and I have spoken about it before.
Are you editorialising now, Mr. Healey?
Sometimes you've got to, editor's privilege. Right, I can show any story I want. It was called The First 4B.
48.
All right, okay, a story. 48. Okay, thank you, John. We'd like to read the next one.
I begin to wonder if you need to go visit the opticians. Oh, well.
Right, I watched The Last King on Netflix, and Kevin's going, YouTube Premium has its own shows now. We're spoiled for choice, we really are. We really are spoiled for choice. Now, talking of choice, I saved one story, not for any particular reason, but because it struck me as being totally logical. A reporter said that in relation to public conveniences, there should be.
When I saw this.
You're not going to. There should be public conveniences. There should be 2 female loos for every male one. Experts recommend.
I do not believe this is correct. You see, when males go to the loo, they take a book with them.
This is public loos.
This is public loos, is it? Well, I don't take a book into the public loos. But most men, I don't care whether they deny it or not, most men read on the loo.
Well, it's your iPhone and your iPad and then your other tablet. Yeah, it's a contemplative time. Time you can do some reading.
It's where people come up with their best ideas, isn't it?
I get my best ideas are in the shower. But that's another story.
You've got nothing to write it down. By the time you've gone out, dried yourself off, you forgot what that great idea was.
No, you've forgotten the ones that won't work and remembered the one that will. That's the way I look at it. Right, okay, this is a practical situation. I mean, when we just to stay with the story for a moment, when we go to the loo, we have stalls and we have areas as well. So there's only stalls in the ladies' bathroom. I'm going to leave it while I'm ahead on that one.
Yeah.
All right, okay. You don't speak about politics, do you, Stephen?
No, it's so much. There's not much going on.
Are you voting today, Stephen?
Pardon?
Are you voting today?
Oh, yes, definitely. I'm trying to find the party which has got the strongest Remain.
He's voting agenda. Green.
It's Green or Liberals, isn't it?
It is, yeah.
It's such a valueless election that we might as well turn it into a mini referendum, and anything to get rid of that clown Farage. I'll do.
Oh, I love the milkshake story.
Yes, fabulous. Yeah,
this is
man held at bay, police protection from the milkshake squad.
The man who threw his milkshake has been charged with 2 charges, not 1, which was a little unexpected. So it'll be interesting to see what he gets as a punishment.
Yeah, he'll be crowdfunded and he'll get a good reward.
Crowdfunded?
Yeah, the crowdfund. If he gets fined, he'll crowdfund paying the fine off, and then you'll find a massive amount of cash in his account because people actually
want him to do it again and again and again. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, yesterday he was on his tour bus, the one without a slogan, and in one area it came to a grinding halt, and there's 2 people stood there with milkshakes, and he wouldn't get off the bus. He would not get off the bus. And there were 2 innocent bystanders, because it's a beautiful hot day, 2 innocent bystanders outside Costa's drinking iced mockers, talking to the police. Because they might have taken their iced mockers and done exactly the same as the milkshake man. This is just... Have you seen all these sort of allegations about him getting cash from some... is it a Russian bloke? I don't know.
It's the old same bloke again. That's
Aaron.
Giving him 438,000 or something like
Yes, you
to
do.
get
I
a
mean,
new post-politics life. That's what they're saying it is.
Yeah, and
It's-
just to, yeah.
Yeah. I just don't know. I mean, she's not gone yet, has she? Or she hadn't this morning. Has she gone since
She's still in place. Hasn't resigned yet.
And that Andrea Ledsam's a lovely person, isn't she?
Well, she ran against May, dropped out of the race when she knew she wasn't going to win, then served under her for 3 years, and then said, no, can't do this anymore, I've had enough, and she legged it last night.
An odious bunch if ever I saw one.
Yeah.
But Boris Johnson's, what are your odds? What odds are you going to give on Boris Johnson being the next Tory leader?
They seem to be pretty good odds that he's going to be it, and that it won't be worth going down the bookies and putting any money on. Let's put it that way.
Craziness. It's like our own.
I've ever been to the bookies since I was a kid.
It's like a combination of Farage and Johnson is our Trump.
That's our fate.
With the Tories acting like the evil Republicans. And God knows, I mean, I don't know if you talked about it earlier, but they still haven't banged the people wanted to give, who they've asked to give, this is the Democrats in the House, they still haven't fined 25 grand a day these people who are refusing to testify in Congress. They just won't pull the trigger. And you think, Christ, is there not enough information to get this thing going? I'm talking about Trump and impeaching the orange monster. But where was it? Have you seen a program called Years and Years?
No, tell us about it.
BBC One, I think. And it's basically a family speeding through the couple of decades. Started in 2019, and the actual TV program had a section, just a little snippet, talking about contemporary news events like yesterday's or last week's news, and then they're going to zip through. It's just a fast forward, and and I don't want to give a spoiler to anybody. Sorry. There was last night's episode that I watched anyway. Trump, it was in his third term of office. Trump launched a nuclear missile against one of the Chinese newly built islands, and remember back in the day when we're in the 70s, 80s, when they had that nuclear war thing, based in Sheffield or something, when we were all worried about nuclear threat. It's a bit like that in terms of there's a 4-minute warning in the UK, even though we weren't involved in this fictional thing. But I was thinking that the last generation to hear a war, an air raid siren, was probably my late granddad and grandparents. Yeah. But it's a bit scary. It's well worth a quick watch anyway. That's what I would recommend. So this week's TV review concludes with a recommendation that don't watch Question Time because Farage will be on it, but certainly watch Years and Years on the BBC.
Right.
This week's TV review is a 52-inch Finlux, nicely vacuumed, sliced around.
We stayed at my future son-in-law's last weekend. He's got one of these big drop down from the ceiling screens, 6 foot by 4 excuse me 6 foot by 4 foot, and it made Eurovision even better to watch because it's like in your face and you're thinking, what the hell's going on?
I admitted earlier to enjoying Adrian Higgs's Snarkfest, which is a tradition now, and John was there as well. But I also enjoyed your comments, Stephen, and the points that you gave to every single act. There's a night war on the comments. The posts actually. If you go to Stephen's timeline on Facebook, you can follow the whole story of Eurovision 2019.
Sue wasn't. Sue, don't tell Sue that she wasn't drinking that night, and I'm sort of merry knocking them back, but eventually she joined in because at first she said, "You bloody fool, what are you doing? Nobody cares about what you say." But look, quite a few people did sort of jump on and say, "That's cool what you did," and I thought Madonna was bloody terrible. That was the biggest PR something up for years, decades even. Awful. But I was hoping we'd win so that we'd have to host it next year when we're out of the EU. I thought that would have been quite neat. But we came last as usual.
We came last. I think there have been reams written about Madonna's non-performance on the night.
Terrible. Have you heard she's put an auto-tuned version of it up on her site?
Well, not surprised. Right, just going with the comments, and just to everybody who's commented today, I'd just like to say thank you, and to note that we've had 95 comments in the show today, which is a Blabbing for Britain record. And from Corinda, and Corinda's saying, guys, can you read it, John?
Not really. Guys, guess who I met on event when I was at Brooklands tour on Sunday when I was live? Sergeant Andrea, her, Stephen, John, don't know if you remember her from Blab when Sergeant TS was doing a show with Mike on Police. She was on there. I saw her at Emergency Services Day. I don't know any Sergeant Andrea, I'm afraid.
Okay. Well, we're glad you actually met her, Corinda. Right. Okay. Now we've Sorry, John.
I was just going to say, just brought into my mind this morning, one of my Facebook friends broadcast while moving in his vehicle and driving. And what really, really shocks me is that he's a 30-year service fireman. And I would have thought he would have known better.
Yeah.
So I gave him both barrels of Don't Stream and Drive.
Gave him both barrels, I'm sure.
Over to you, John.
What's over to me? Why are you blaming me? It's not my fault. I didn't make us go 3 minutes over.
I'm sorry I was late.
It's been a good show. I was really worried there was only going to be me here today. I really, really was worried. Well, thanks for coming in and playing a part, Stephen with a V.
Thank you. You're welcome.
Acid Stephen, that's Stephen with a PH. I'm glad you turned up for the last few minutes. It was nice to see you.
See you. Nice.
We did have White Van Man on very early on in the beginning, but it was a bit confusing trying to work out what he was saying, why he was going to Dundee, which we still haven't found out.
Still don't know. No.
And who the bloke driving was, because it wasn't anybody we'd seen before. It's been an eventful day. I'd like to say thanks to all our viewers, Mr. Kelly, Mr. Kevin, Mr. Corinda,
Tish,
our favourite lady, of course.
Yeah.
Who else has been on? Gosh, I don't know.
We've had
95 comments is pretty good going. So thank you for all of those comments. So it's goodbye from him who's slightly up there to the northwest of me in Stoke. It's goodbye from him who's slightly down to the southwest of me. Well, actually, probably about 100 miles southwest of me. We'll say goodbye for our Scottish friend. Who was streaming and driving? No, Peter wasn't streaming.
No.
Peter would have his beeps ripped off if he was caught streaming and driving. The person streaming and driving was a friend of mine who's a fireman. So it's goodbye from the Midlands, it's goodbye from the North, it's goodbye from Scotland, and it's goodbye from the Southwest. 179 next week. Bye.
Bye. And